we are right in the middle of the season of giving, and our media partners over at Texas Monthly are tackling the subject in their Giving Back series.
And we're doing what we do best. We're diving into the data, and we're hearing some personal stories about what it means and what it looks like to give back. So we want to bring in Josh Alvarez, who's been watching this series for us. Josh, first of all, thanks for being with us. Good to see you. First question I want to ask you is kind of set the stage here for us. How has Texas changed over the last few years when it comes to volunteering?
Thank you for having me. Unfortunately, Texas has changed somewhat for the worse in the last 3 years, but that's, however, reflective of national trends. We saw, and this is through AmeriCorps, who keeps track of formal and informal volunteer rates across the country. Unfortunately, right now, Texas, in the latest figures, is around 21.3% formal volunteer rate. That means volunteering through an organization. You know, it could be your local Parks and Rec department. It could be a national organization. And 21.3% puts Texas 39th in the country, which is, again, it's disappointing. But we've seen that across the country, that over the last 6 years, states have seen a pretty rapid decline in volunteer rates. The reasons for that are unclear. Obviously, COVID happened, which probably, put a pretty significant dent on the amount that people were doing. In Texas specifically, I would happen to think that the influx of newcomers probably has affected the rate, because as people come in and they're new to a place, they may be slow to volunteer. They're probably getting their bearings. But in any case, it's a figure that is unfortunate. And then other data shows that our charitable giving rate puts us around 40th in the country, which is even more disappointing given the size and wealth of the state.
Yeah, I would agree on the disappointing side when you hear the numbers put that way. But at the same time, I think there's validity in that whole new population coming to North Texas, right? New people assimilating, getting to know their neighborhoods. So that all kind of makes sense. At the same time, you've come across a number of groups giving back to their community here in North Texas, and also a little across the state as well. Can you share some of the good side, the good stories with us?
Sure. Yeah. In researching this story and putting these together with my colleagues and also with the writers that worked with us, despite those numbers, Texas has an incredible amount of human talent that is dedicating itself towards solving some of the state's biggest problems. In North Texas in particular, I really enjoyed getting to know a gentleman by the name of Manuel Valles Tellez. And he is the founder of Auto Care Haven, which is a nonprofit that is in Dallas and North Texas, that does free auto repairs for North Texans who are in need. This all came from his own experience. At the time, about several years ago, he had to undergo his car. He has a red pickup truck. Had to undergo some pretty significant repairs. And unfortunately, at the time, Manuel didn't have the cash on hand to pay for those repairs. So we had to go to a payday lender, and a $1,500 loan to repair his vehicle and get back on the road, which he needed in order to get to his job, ended up costing him $7,000 because of the predatory interest rates. So, that experience from Manuel, and also, he found that there were a lot of other North Texans who were showing up to this payday lender for the same reason. So he took it upon himself to launch Auto Care Haven in order to serve those Texans who need to get back on the road and need to get back quick and just don't have the cash on hand to afford significant repairs. So his story stood out to me because not only did he take it upon himself to start putting a dent into a problem that I think plagues a lot of Texans, especially given our car-centric society, it's also one that points to a larger problem that in Texas and America, really, it's very expensive to be poor. So his story stood out to me as an especially compelling one.
And when you talk about stories, you talk about inspiring other people to get out there. People connect to those personal stories. So tell me, what would you say to someone who wants to volunteer? They want to get in from the sidelines and help, but they're not sure where to start. What kind of inspiration would you lend to them?
Yes. The last thing we want this package of stories to inspire is apathy. These are individuals who are taking on very big problems, but every single one of them, in talking to them, has said, they're not the solution, that what they're working on is not going to, it requires much more collective assistance and more people taking it upon themselves, to do work and to volunteer themselves or to start their own nonprofits. Or if you can't do any of those, then contribute to other nonprofits, whether in the form of donations or in volunteer hours. For those who are looking to get involved, I shared my own story. I'm relatively new to Texas. I moved here 2.5 years ago, and I now live in Georgetown, which is about 35 miles north of Austin. And it was a new place. I didn't know anybody there. My office and my work with Texas Monthly is in Austin. So, one of the things that I did was I started looking into, what are ways I could get involved in the community. And I grew up playing soccer, and just making that quick little connection of like, what do I know? What do I enjoy? What were the things that I liked? And I like working with kids, and I like soccer. So I just sent an email out to my local Parks and Rec department, and before I knew it, I was coaching 7-year-olds, and it was a great way for me to get connected to my community. And so for others, I just recommend not overthinking it. It's the hardest part is really very easy. It's just thinking about what you have to offer, and then sending that email or making that phone call or filling out that form and showing up the first time. And after that, you realize it's a lot of fun, and really volunteer work gives you more energy than you put into it. And it's really a beautiful thing. And so that's something that I think more people would benefit from. So I think that 21.3% figure, should be higher. And if anything, do it for yourself. It's a wonderful feeling to volunteer for others.
Yep, it certainly is, and especially when you've chosen to do it, and it's something that comes from your own heart.
Absolutely.
Something you've got a passion for. Josh, thank you. Josh Alvarez joining us tonight. And if you want to read all the articles, or some of them, in the Texas Monthly Giving Back series, they're there for you. Just visit texasmonthly.com.